Why is Goblin Piledriver never sad? Because he has protection from the blues.
This video is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. with free weekly content and free shipping on orders over $150. You can save 5% site-wide by using the promo code MTGMudsta. If you're looking for a direct way to help the channel, please consider joining my Patreon and becoming a member of the generic Goblin Gang. Hey gang, and welcome back. Today's game is once more filmed in my basement, with Marie, Vilis, myself, and Max battling it out for supremacy. Marie has been talking some smack saying that Ziatora is better than Prosh, and she keeps an Ancient Bronze Dragon, Ancient Copper Dragon, Stomping Ground, Blood Crypt, Old Gnawbone, a Swamp, and a Forest. Vilis is playing Bright Palm, keeping Gavany Township, Stronic Resonator, Kadama of the West Tree, Soul Ring, Sungrass Prairie, Lae'zel Valkith's Champion, and an Incubation Druid. I'm still trying to decide if I should take apart my Vilis deck, and naturally to test it out I keep the riskiest hand ever, keeping Sanguine Bond, a Swamp, Go for the Throat, Phyrexian Reclamation, Sword of the Animist, Soul Ring, and Defiler of Flesh. Last but not least, Max is still working on his Faldorn deck, and he's keeping a Spire Garden, 2 Forests, Birds of Paradise, Courser of Kruphix, Wren's Resolve, and a Beast Within. Marie wins the die roll and starts us off. She draws, playing a tap Blood Crypt and passing. Vilis plays a Gavany Township and then casts Soul Ring. He then taps the Soul Ring for a Strionic Resonator and passes. I follow his example, playing a Swamp into my own Soul Ring, and then tap my Soul Ring into a Sword of the Animist. After that, I pass. Max draws and plays a Forest. He taps it for a green for Birds of Paradise, passing. Marie draws and plays another Shockland with a tap Stomping Ground. Vilis plays a Sungrass Prairie and is able to cast Kadama of the West Tree. He passes after that. I draw and am rewarded for my greedy keep, drawing a Swamp and playing it. I then cast Defiler of Flesh and pass. Max draws and plays a Spire Garden. He's got enough mana at this point for Faldorn, and he casts his commander before passing. Marie plays a Mountain for turn, and taps 3 mana for Feldon of the Third Path. Vilis plays a Mountain and casts Bright Palm, backing up on Kadama, and then moves to combat. He swings Kadama at Max, which doubles the counters when it attacks. Maxim then takes 5, and Vilis gets to search for a basic thanks to the Kadama's ability, and after that, Vilis passes. I draw for turn, and pay to equip the sword onto my Defiler. I then go to combat, and swing it at Vilis dealing 5, and search for my own basic as well, and I pass to Max. Maxim draws and plays Wren's Resolve, exiling an Escape to the Wilds and Eldrazi Monument. He then plays a Forest from hand and taps it for an Arbor Elf and passes. Marie draws and plays a Forest. She plays a Rampant Growth, going to find another Forest, and passing as she searches. Vilis plays a Plains for turn, and then plays Lae'zel. He moves to combat and swings Bright Palm at me and the Kadama at Marie. He targets the Kadama with the Bright Palm, and with the trigger on the stack, I cast Go for the Throat and take out Lae'zel to at least limit some of his counters, and Vilis then doubles Kadama's counters. Marie then takes 11, while I take 4 commander damage. And after that, he passes. I draw and go to combat immediately, swinging the Defiler at Vilis again, and searching up a Swamp to put onto the battlefield. With no actual land to play, I have to pass. Max draws and casts Escape from the Wilds from exile, making a Wolf token from Faldorn. He exiles his top 5, but sadly has no lands, so he plays a Mountain and a Rockfall Vale from hand. He then casts Vandal Blast and blows up the Strionic Resonator on Vilis' side, and gets to make another Wolf token before passing to Marie. Marie draws and plays a Swamp. She casts an Ancient Copper Dragon and passes. During her end step, Vilis casts Ephemerate and targets Bright Palm. I respond by casting Imp's Mischief and redirect the Ephemerate to Kadama to strip it of its counters. Vilis Ephemerates on his upkeep and targets Bright Palms, backing up Kadama again. He adds the counter and then draws a card for turn. He then plays out Renata, called by the Hunt, and follows up with Incubation Druid, which comes in with a +1/+1 counter onto it, thanks to Renata. Vilis then swings Kadama at me, doubling its counters and dealing 5 damage while getting to find another basic to put into play tapped. I take the hit, and Vilis passes. I draw and go to combat. I swing the Defiler at Max for 5, who lets it go through, and I get to go and find a basic. I then paid 2 life thanks to the Defiler to help cast Twilight Prophet, although I don't have City's Blessing yet. I then pass, and during my end step, Max casts Reclaim to put Escape to the Wilds on top of his library. Maxim draws and casts a new card, a battle, Invasion of Kaldheim, and chooses me to defend it. He then exiles his hand and draws a new one, and then plays a Blighted Woodland. Max follows it up with Sensei's Divining Top, and then casts Scroll Rack from exile. He makes a wolf token, and then goes to combat. He swings the 3 wolf tokens at his battle, and I eat one of them with the Twilight Prophet, but the battle still flips. With all that done, Max then passes turn. Marie draws and plays a Riveteer's Overlook, sacrificing it and gaining 1 to find a mountain. Going to combat, she swings the Ancient Copper Dragon at Vilis, who takes the hit because he has no flying blockers. Marie rolls her d20 and gets 14 treasures. In her second main phase, she plays out Solphum, Mayhem Dominus, and then plays out Ziatora. She then casts an Ancient Bronze Dragon. Moving to her end step, Marie sacrifices the Copper Dragon to Ziatora's ability, and thanks to Solphum being out, deals 12 damage to Max's face and makes 3 treasures. Vilis draws and plays an Arcane Signet. Going to combat, he swings Bright Palm and Kadama at Marie, and targets Kadama with the Bright Palm's trigger. Responding to his own trigger, he casts Inscription of Abundance, Kicked. This has him putting 2 +1/+1 counters on Kadama and gaining 7, and fighting Faldorn with Bright Palms. The Kadama then doubles its counters to 8, and Marie blocks Bright Palms with the Ancient Brass Dragon, but still takes 11. Vilis also gets to search for a basic thanks to the Kadama ability, and passes to me. I draw for turn, and go to combat. I swing the Defiler at Vilis as it's worked in the past, and he takes the hit while I grab a Swamp. In my second main phase, I then cast Reanimate on Marie's Ancient Copper Dragon. I lose 6 to bring it back, and as I pass, Max spins his top and then activates it to draw a card. Max draws the Sensei's Divining Top, and casts Escape from the Wilds from exile, exiling the top 5 again. He then plays 2 forests from exile, and makes 2 wolf tokens. He plays an Idol of Oblivion, and then activates it to draw a card. He follows that up with a main phase Beast Within, and takes out Kadama. Moving to combat, Max swings 4 wolf tokens at Vilis, who blocks 2 of them and takes 4. With nothing else, Max passes. Marie draws and chooses Violence, casting Old Gnawbone before going to combat. She swings both Ziatora and the Ancient Bronze Dragon at Vilis, who takes the hit. Marie then rolls her d20s and puts 14 +1/+1 counters onto the Ancient Bronze Dragon and Old Gnawbone, and then makes 13 treasures. After combat, she cracks 5 of the treasures to cast Junji and moves to her end step. She flings the Ancient Bronze Dragon at Max, who promptly dies, and with nothing else, she passes. Vilis draws and replays Bright Palms, backing up the Beast token. He then plays a Sunscorched Regent and goes to combat. He swings the beast token at me, doubling its counters, for a total of 7 damage, which I take. After that, he passes to me. I reveal a Ghost Quarter from the Twilight Prophet, and then draw for turn. We're looking for a board wipe at this point, and I can't sadly find one. I play a Ghost Quarter, and then pay 2 life to help cast Phyrexian Reclamation instead of paying the mana cost, and the Defiler gives my Ancient Copper Dragon +1/+1 and Menace. I then cast a Grey Merchant of Asphodel, draining everyone for 7 and gaining 14, which will hopefully allow me to survive. Marie draws and goes to combat. She swings Old Gnawbone and Junji at Felix, which kills him. Going to her end step, she then flings Old Gnawbone at me for win, because the damage is doubled off of Solphim. Game review time. While I can't necessarily agree with her statement that Ziatora is better than Prosh, Ziatora certainly showed their worth this game, and Marie was very happy with how the deck performed. Although she didn't have a lot early game, once she got to about 6 mana she just started dropping threat after threat after threat. There was so much treasure generation she had mana for days, and Solphim is a pretty sweet addition to the deck. This game that Felix played with Bright Palm was one of the ones that's inspired me to make some kind of +1/+1 counter deck. I'm still not too sure whether or not I want to do Naya, or whether I want to just do straight Gruul. But with recent printings there's a ton of options to choose from, so I'm kind of excited to build it. Vilis really didn't come out at all, and I kept the worst hand I possibly could have. Never keep a 1-land hand with a Soul Ring and hope that you draw a second land. I got so lucky, and I really shouldn't have been in this game. That Sword of the Animus carried me so hard, and even still, I wasn't drawing any other lands beyond the ones that I was finding with it. Maxim continues to test his Faldorn deck, and I admire his tenacity to try and figure out what works and what doesn't work. He's getting more and more refined, and I'm expecting the deck to become incredibly aggressive within the next few iterations. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, Cool Stuff Inc., Multizone, Original Magic Art, and Alter Sleeves. But it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.